Mom, Dad, I humbly suggest you save some money and shop Amazon for back to school. It's for my growth, meaning my body's growing at an alarming rate. And clothes you buy me this year will be very small very soon. Plus, the clothes I love today will be out of style tomorrow. But at least your wallet doesn't have to be my fashion victim if you shop low prices for school at Amazon. Hopefully this is helpful. Amazon. Spend less, smile more.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Dr. Psych Mom Show. Before we dive into today's topic, which is why doing some random ass project with your wife is going to make you happier and give you a happier marriage and certainly make her happier, let me first tell you to subscribe so that you can hear my most recent podcast about why your wife finds you boring in case your day wasn't going poorly enough, and why women do not like to hear certain topics but do like to hear other sorts of conversations and, just endless education on how to be in a marriage that doesn't suck. And also follow me on TikTok. Just like, even if you don't have TikTok, download it. It's the least you could do. It's free. It's not going to kill you to download TikTok and follow my TikTok, and it will make me very happy and possibly give you some shorter things to watch and listen to if these 20 minutes can't keep your attention, which, quite honestly, podcasts really don't keep my attention. As you notice, I haven't even had any more guests after the one guest that I had because I really listen to people talk all day, and it is hard to listen to another person talk. But maybe one day I'll have another guest again. In fact, I'm going to come up and be a podcast guest on something in the future called Hot Happy Mess, but I will give you obviously more information about that on all my social media accounts when the time comes. So today we are going to talk about why your wife likes doing random ass projects. And there are so many reasons, but a major one is that your wife likes to feel like you're on a team. And to a woman, you're like, well, I want to be on a team every night in bed. Yeah, okay. But what she means is that she wants to do some stuff that makes her feel like you are co-creating a happy home and family. And that really makes her feel like a team and like she's giving her children the life that she never had, one in which there are frequent random ass projects. And or if she came from a house where there were loads of random ass projects, then she is, reliving her own happy childhood. So you may say, what is an example of a random ass project? Well, so she likes to paint. So she likes to paint the basement. She likes to organize the garage. She likes to plan your kid's birthday party. She likes to plan your Disney trip. Anything planning is a project. And then she wants to redecorate, reconfigure, reorganize, renovate. Basically, anything starts with R-E. She wants to repair. She wants to do whatever the hell makes her feel like you are kind of in forward motion as a family, doing things that, little smallish things that will overall contribute to a happier and more efficiently running unit of people. And you may think that you work all day, so what the hell are you going to do all this stupid shit for? Well, the same reason as you do any other stupid shit, because you're in a relationship and you cannot be a selfish jerk in a relationship, and you have to try to understand what makes other people happy. And frequently men are like, well, my wife won't have sex with me or won't have sex with me enough or whatever case may be, and therefore I shouldn't try to make her happy. Well, two wrongs don't make a right. And also, if you stop being such a jerk, she may have sex with you. And that is going to be the title of my upcoming bestseller. If you stop being such a jerk, she may have sex with you. Just kidding. Maybe that is a good title. But so if you really have been kind of a Debbie Downer and this oppositional naysayer, devil's advocate, and if she said any of those things about you, then you probably have been, then you will have to initiate a project, and then you will see how happy your wife is. She will also probably drop dead of shock. So if you do not kill her with shock, she will be very happy, and she will say, wait, why are you saying that we should do X, Y, Z when I've been saying it for years and you've never been on board? So let's say that you're like, hey, you know what I think we should do? I think that we should finish the basement. She'd be like, what? Are you okay? I've been talking about finishing the basement for like 10 years, and you've never wanted to finish the basement. You've always been like, that's not going to increase our home value enough, and we don't have time for that, and we don't have money for that. So then you say, well, you know what? I realized that you really want to finish the basement, and that I was just saying no to, because I could only see the downsides. And you've made some good points, because I'm sure she's made some good points. If you didn't marry an idiot, then she's made some good points about it, right? She said, well, it would increase the home value enough, and then the children would have a different floor to play on, and then they would have someplace to do gaming, and all sorts of shit that she said. And I'm sure some of it has been accurate, but you've just been coming from a place of no. And the guys that this podcast is really designed to target are, of course, the oppositional ones, the ones who come from a place of no instead of a place of yes. And you know what this is like because you grew up in a home like this. So if you are this kind of guy, then it's likely that you grew up in a home where you couldn't say something to your parents like, hey guys, let's all go fishing tomorrow, or let's all play Twister tonight, or let's all do whatever. You couldn't say anything like that because there was a real prescribed, joyless, rigid routine. Your parents made very clear that life was to be endured, and they tried to convey that to you whenever you got too excited about anything, much like in my podcast about when your kids' positive emotions trigger you. They would kind of bring you down to earth by shitting all over your parade. And now you kind of do that with your wife. And you've done it about all of her projects. And if you had just done all of her projects, yes, all of her projects, you would not be bankrupt and even more miserable as you imagine, but you would possibly be living with a much happier woman who felt that the world was really her oyster and that she had a partner in crime. I mean, why do you think women like these fucking home shows where they renovate stuff? Because everybody's always so happy and positive, and everybody just can't even wait to see what the finished product is going to look like. And the man and the woman are usually happy together. It's like this whole thing where you get to feel like being married does not take away your options, because, men and women feel like that, because, of course, that is the definition. You no longer have options in certain domains unless you have an open marriage, which is rife with its own issues. But you have more options because now you are a team that can combine resources, whether that's time, energy, and or money, and creative prowess and ability to pick shit up and do a big project physically. And you can combine all of your resources to allow you to have a better life with access to more things, more opportunities. So women are bored in marriage, same as guys are bored in marriage. And the men that are bored usually think that it's because their sex life sucks. And the women that are bored feel like it's because they are living with a joyless potato that just kind of sits around and every so often makes a cutting passive-aggressive remark. And this does not make anybody happy. So if you recognize yourself in this dynamic, obviously, by the way, when your wife asks to redo the basement and you're like, yeah, right, I'm fucking doing that, do you think that you're going to get laid that night or that year? Probably not. So it's a vicious cycle where the more negative you are, then the more she thinks about you as an albatross, as a rebellious teenager, as even a small child. And then she doesn't want to really interact with you because every time she interacts with you, you shit on something. And of course, it's understandable why you do this if you were raised like this, and also if over time you have felt increasingly disconnected from any sort of joy because you don't feel like your wife is affectionate. But it's chicken and egg. It's chicken and egg. And then there's a lot of people, a lot of guys who are like, yeah, well, this one time we did do a renovation and it went to shit. It was totally terrible. We fought about everything. Well, guess what? You fought about everything is the key point into why it went terrible. I'm not telling you to do a home repair project or a project of any sort in the way that you have previously been doing it. Because if you've been doing it and it hasn't been working, what's the definition of insanity, right? So do it in a different way. Do it with the idea of being positive and enthusiastic and proactive. And this is going to be a completely different way than you've gone about things in the past, and thus she may respond to it entirely differently. So if in the past you said, all right, we can paint, but we're only going to paint in this certain color, and we're only going to paint these certain walls, the color that you want is stupid, and so we are going to be doing it in neutral because I feel like we're going to sell the house soon, and it's just stupid to paint it that other color. And on top of it, we will have to wait until the children are at your mother's because I don't want them around. And no, they cannot do a mural wall. A mural wall is stupid. And et cetera, et cetera. So you just come off like a joyless blowhard, and then she's not going to like to do any project with you in the future. So you're going to have to say, hey, remember that time that we painted the room and it went to shit? I want to have a nice experience of project. So why don't we paint another room? And you know what? We'll do it the way that you want. Because think about it. Let's say you're like, I don't know, let's say you're 45 years old, maybe the average age of my male listeners, and you're like, your wife finally just fucking leaves. Okay, cool. Like, you're going to be devastated or maybe not. And then you're asked going to get back on Tinder. You're certainly not going to put your age range to 45 plus because you're not. You're just not. So you're going to put it to what? Like to 29 plus, maybe 32 plus if you feel very deep and non-superficial. So let's say you get 32 years old and then guess what she's going to want to do? She's going to want to do a home project. And you know what you're not going to do? You're not going to be like, purple's a stupid color. No, you're not, because you're going to have already made that mistake in your previous marriage. She's going to be looking at you with her bright, shiny face. She was just a fetus 27 years ago. She's still so happy to be alive. And you're not going to want to rain on her fucking parade. And you're going to paint a purple mural or whatever the fuck she wants. So, since you love your current wife, you don't want to break up your family, why don't you just internalize the man that you would be when you're getting laid by a 27-year-old girl off of Tinder and you are trying very hard to be flexible, fun, and even a little bit younger than your age, just to, meet her at where she's at. Because you have it in you, and in this ideal circumstance that I am describing, which would be the best for your negativity to, kind of burrow underground and for your positivity to come out, in that situation, you would be able to be fun. You would be able to be the guy that, painted your nose purple to be funny, like in video montages of young couples in love. You would be able to be that guy. You would not be this joyless dipshit with the beige paint. So try to internalize that person and bring it out with your current wife, and then see if she acts a little bit more like Tinderella would, because you're acting so much more passionate and positive and fun and funny and all of the things that you acted before you got this persona of being kind of beat down by life. And so obviously this podcast can apply to people beyond just the idea of doing fun new things in terms of projects around the house. You could do fun new things in general. So a lot of people that I work with in couples counseling where the woman just thinks the guy is just like stuck to his routine, joyless, acts old beyond his years, and the guy is always like, well, yeah, if she had to support the family, maybe, she would act a little bit more stressed out too. But the point is, tit for tat does absolutely nothing, and the other point is, who wants to be thought of by anybody as joyless and a buzzkill? Frequently, people who struggle with being controlling, another podcast topic, which I've recently covered, people who struggle with being controlling can also be perceived as joyless, boring, or routinized in these ways. So, the reason that women like projects, besides that it pushes the family forward in this new way and it's just a creative outlet and some novelty, is because it's supposed to be fun. It actually is. They really think of it as fun to spend all that money they do. And so you want to come in there on the ground floor as understanding it isn't about how the room comes out looking. It's about whether the room ends up fulfilling your wife's expectations for a fun activity. And same thing with dinner out. So if you go to date night, you don't just want to check that box and be like, here I am, I'm eating my fucking pasta, what do you want from me? No, you want it to be spontaneous, creative, fun. We're going to a fun new place. We're going to have a fun new kind of conversation. You've already memorized like 2 of my 100 date night questions. You're going to say something novel. You're going to smile. People fucking forget to smile on date night. You ever go out to dinner and look around you? It looks like a wake. People look so fucking depressed on date night. It's no wonder we have a 50% divorce rate. So the point being that anything that your wife wants to do, or if you're listening and you are the female joyless buzzkill, anything your husband wants to do, it's supposed to be fun. It is supposed to be fun and bring you closer because you're experiencing a new positive, creative, spontaneous sort of thing together. And for women in specific, they usually more so than men think about this, they also want your children to observe you working together as a team, doing something fun in a way that perhaps her parents couldn't, or with the other ones in a way that their parents could, and that you guys have never approximated as your own, couple. And they really want the kids to observe that life can be full of opportunity. If we don't like how this room looks, look, it can be a different room. And women who really like this sort of thing are frequently ones who, again, either grew up feeling very constricted or whose father was always just painting shit. And you could refer back to my podcast about women who put their fathers on a pedestal versus their spouse, and women who do the same. This is not a good situation, but one way is to then just kind of do the stuff that your spouse really idealizes in their family of origin, hopefully while they introspect about how bad it is for the relationship that they're idealizing, their family of origin versus their marriage. But, that goes into the topic of the other one. The other podcast. So if you get anything from this, it is this. If your spouse wants to do something, they don't want you to do it. They want it to be a fun endeavor that brings you closer and through which they can experience some sort of creative fulfillment, some sort of team feeling, some sort of, spontaneous joy, and anything that just kind of breaks up the banality of day-to-day life, just as you wish that probably she would do that in the bedroom. She wishes you would do it in every other arena except the bedroom, but she will get to the bedroom at some point. Honestly, it's a lot easier to be fun, sexy, and spontaneous with a guy who acts fun, sexy, and spontaneous than a guy who acts negative and passive and exhausted. And if you really are like, I literally could not even imagine the energy necessary to get up and paint a room, then it is likely that you have bigger fish to fry. Because if you are in this age group, you should be able to think about also painting a room. If you're not, then you may be struggling with depression, B, may be very, very, tapped out by your life in general and unhappy, which is another way of saying depressed, but situationally. And it should be possible for the average couple to do a little project together at times. If it feels completely beyond your ken, then you would need to re-examine how your day-to-day life is structured and your priorities. So a man that works 90 hours a week certainly isn't going to be painting a room, but also those men frequently have women that are very, very unhappy with them because they never ever see them. So it is a good impetus to examine your day-to-day life priorities and values. If you're like, I could never have the time to do this, not to do it in a positive way, not a negative way. I just wouldn't have time to do it because all I have time to do is work, childcare, sleep. So if that is your life, it does feel pretty joyless, I'm sure, and then this could be a wake-up call to interrogate that. All right, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast. Please do follow me on TikTok and everywhere else, and I'll talk to y'all soon.